So guys, we have been on this journey for three, 4 weeks now. This is the start of the 4th week. So, and 3 weeks means 21 days. So, what we are doing is we just talk about the next habit which you can work on, how to select that next habit, and how to stack multiple habits and form, let's say, a bunch of habits. Easier to do rather than having segregated habits. Leveraging your current efforts with one habit and using that to add on other habits on top of it.
Okay.
So that is
Yeah.
what habit stacking would be. Uh, there would be two components to it for this presentation. First would be yes, how what to think about when selecting a habit to pick. So as Shivani rightly pointed out that maybe she thought that pick the habit which was like harder. She could have started off with an easier habit. So what we start off with uh, picking up something which is more where you all have high motivation. But let's just go through what we have covered till now. We have covered why creating habits is important. The first thing, importance of self-awareness and how to increase it. That is second. How to effectively create long-term habits by incorporating habit design principles. And last week we talked about how to avoid habit contracts. So these are four pieces we talked about. And this time we'll talk about another technique called habit stacking, which can be used to create new habits and using leveraging your old habits to create new habits. Those are the methods. Okay. So let's go to the next slide. So what we start off with. Uh, there's this great book called The One Thing, and right now we're talking about how to choose a habit which will impact your life. So the quote or the question you have to ask yourself is, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will become easier or unnecessary. So just you can now break this into multiple things. What's the one thing I can do right now, which is which can be a prioritization exercise for you to do right now. What is the one thing I can do in the next 1 month, such that by doing it, everything will become easier and unnecessary. That can help you define what habit would be the most critical. You can again take it to 6 months, 1 year. And now we are at the start of 2021. So this will be a great question for you to prioritize what you look for in 2021, right? What are the critical things? You have different time frames to it. Yeah. So different times you can put different time frames to it. That is one aspect of it. Or you can flip it up to different context. So what you can talk about is what's the one thing I can do at work such that by doing it everything else will become easier or unnecessary. Right? What's the one thing to do for my relationships such that by doing them everything will become easier or unnecessary. This is a great question to ask to get to the core of what is the one small habit or one thing which can impact that critical area of your life. So that is a good way to prioritize. Have different spaces. Let's say, as in we talk about exercise. If you're talking about exercise or physical fitness, what's the one thing for my body which I can do such that by doing it, everything else will become easier or necessary. Right? That helps you prioritize. Okay, if I'm looking for physical fitness, is it? And this changes context for everyone. Then it would not be same for two people because you understand yourself better than someone else does. So when you talk about what's the one thing I can do, and you realize that I am eating too much junk food, then for your physical fitness, a habit might be how to work on eating healthier, right? And finding a habit which can help you do that. For someone, it is lack of physical exercise or lack of motions. For them, that might be the key issue for them, and they might have to look for something like that, and that helps you prioritize. You could go for different spheres and then pick up habits, and then stack them one after the other, which is what we talk about now. So now we'll talk about the different spheres. Uh, slide open up. Different spheres of life which you have to keep looking at, and then picking up habits from them. So the point is, you pick one habit, make it concrete before you move on to the next one. The first one should feel like a positive thing to do. So initially, every habit you will, it will have a learning curve for the first couple of weeks, at least 2 weeks, and by the third week you will be more comfortable because you have actually put it in your life. and seen where there is problem, what you have to move around to make it part of your life. So the third week and the fourth week makes it a little easier. Of that habit, that small change in your life. So then we talk about the next one. So let's talk about the different spheres of life, and then think about, like, the point is, eventually long term you should have a good habit in each of these spheres to have a good life, or to like be fulfilled or be healthy. So health is not just physical; it has many aspects to it. We're talking about being all round developed, and having small habits in each sphere will help you do that in the long run. You don't have to, like, it will not create long term problems later. You are fixing the problem right now. I think, like, the problem would not exist. So let's talk about them one by one. So there are seven spheres.
So now, are you still getting noise from my background?
I guess it's better.
Better? Take it. So I can also speak.
Right.
Okay. If it's okay, I'll also get involved. So, so as Sagar was saying, we have like 7 spheres of our life. If there's anything else you think of, we can add it here. So, like Shivani, Anurag, anything else you can think of as a sphere, major sphere of your life? Or does it cover most of?
So let's just name it out, because it will be easier for people to, let's say, if they're listening to
Yep.
the recording. It'll help them.
Mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, financial, social, and sexual.
Right. So typically you would talk about mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. Then there's the social aspect of it, or financial aspect of it, or the sexual aspect of it. Those are the 7 key spheres of life. Let's just look at different ways how you can segregate what does mental mean, what does emotional mean, what does a physical sphere mean, and what does spiritual mean, or all of them. We'll just go about a small single line description for each of them. So mental would be understanding and learning more about the world. Typically that would understanding about the world, about what you're doing, that concerns
Also includes problem solving, like
problem
intellectual challenges to your mind, which will be mental.
So emotional would typically be understanding your emotions, working with them, being more comfortable with them, being able to share it with people. Communication, a bit of communication will also be part of emotional. Letting your emotions out in a healthy way, that would be part of emotional. Physical is taking care of your physical body.
Yeah.
So spiritual would be learning more about why you exist, your purpose. That is a bigger sphere, where if other things are in balance and that is still in imbalance, that will still create problems in the long run, because you will not feel connected to the world per se. So, and then Palak, you can go on the next.
So social. So any interactions with other people, communication. It can be work, friends, wife, family, husband, anything. But anything that comes interactions with other people, your image in the social life, all that will come up in the social section. Sexual, anything that comes with your sex life, financial, money related matters. In the long run, you can have, like, it's more about like earning more, saving more, or investing more, those kind of things. So these are the 7 spheres which we could like find out from different sources. But if there is anything else, we can add it. Otherwise, this is good. So is this okay? Does this cover most of what you do, what you aim for in your life? Shivani, Anurag?
Yes, I think this covers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So if you you could suggest, like, we can pick up. So what we are trying to say here is, first, when you're going to choose something next, don't choose out of like 100 things that you can do, which will be a difficult choice to make, and also unsatisfying choice, because you would always think, I could have done something else with my time. But this gives you a hierarchical way of choosing what to do, what to choose next. So first, at this level, what is it that might be the most important to you, or what is it that, if you do better, will help you the most, in which sphere of life? So you can choose one, like Anurag or Shivani. You could say, this is where I want to improve, and we can go in details.
Okay. Name one guys. Okay. Let's start off with mental first, and then we can just run through.
Okay.
things.
Okay. So so this is the way I would like go about choosing what I should do next. So I would if I say okay, this is the sphere I want to focus on, uh, I would say so mental. What are the different things that I could do to improve my mind? So it could be reading, listening, or practicing something, uh, or if there's anything else, we can add it. But on the top of my mind, on these are the three things that I could do to improve my mind, intellectual mind. And let's say I am reading enough, I am training myself enough, like at job I'm doing different challenging things, etc., but I'm not probably learning from others or listening to others. So I have multiple options. I can do podcasts, I can read podcasts, audiobooks, talk to different people and understand from them or learn from them. And then if I choose anything, let's say if I choose podcasts, I would say I would listen to podcasts 5 minutes every day. So just convert it into an activity that you can do every day, and that's how choosing what to do next becomes easier and becomes more satisfying, in my opinion, in our opinion. Um, and let's say if we go to emotional, so there can be two things: expressing your emotions or changing your emotional state. Some people are uh, not in a good emotional state most of the time, so that might be a problem they want to solve, and there can be different things in that problem that they can do every day to improve that, and so on and so forth. You could choose anything. It could be physical. Physical can have different things: exercising more, eating better, or self-care. And from exercising you could choose anything, but we believe it's a better way to choose than just choosing directly.
You would also find, like, if you find an issue and you cannot find a habit, you can just Google. There are a lot of articles where, like, hey, how to improve my social life, what habits, simple habits to improve my social life, right? You will get a ton of habits suggestions, and you can just pick up one which you feel is
That's-
easier to for you to build, right? And it is solving the right problem.
See,
Yeah. See, like,
so and then just try doing them every day.
a great habit which was there was remembering people's names, right? So this is a point number 6, 7 here. 10. So that is a small habit, and you have to start learning how to do that. How would I go about remembering people's names? That would lead you into a rabbit hole of remembering names, and then searching for what is the best way to remember names and how to go about it. So those are the simple ways you can be very curious and learn more about small things, and that would then lead you into memory and learning more about memory. That might go into the mental sphere of life as well. We're learning more about memory. So that is one habit which will help multiple spheres. So that is something which you would want to optimize. You would want to look at. Easy to do, not a lot of effort, but still impacts your life in a good way.
Probably which is also attractive and fun to you.
Yeah, attractive, fun. Exactly. The whole habit loop is very important here.
So something that is attractive. This is negative habit, but something that is attractive, something that is easy, something that is satisfying. Those kind of habits work better.
And effectively, when you're picking a habit which is most important to you, then after you pick it up, it is supposed to be more satisfying because it is solving a real problem. So it's called just in time. In learning aspect, it's called just in time learning. That is what we're trying to do. Creating habits which are just in time, solving a problem right now, and then you can use that habit for a long term, use it for longer.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next
ठीक
one.
है. So any questions, any thoughts on this? This one. How do you choose what to do next? How
I had a question like, like say I have made significant progress in my current habit. So would you suggest that I should pick up two more habits, or just again I should stick to picking just one new habit?
One.
One
Always
at
go
a
with
time is, see,
Okay,
if you do it consistently, you also have to keep in mind that the other habit is not like highly strengthened yet.
right.
You're still, there are still gaps there. So I would suggest pick one, and it's just, we just thought it would be better to go through a route, a framework,
Mhm.
to pick what next you want to pick up. Like you
but
would
yeah,
say on the top of your mind, I want to read, but then why do you want to read? Because you want to improve your mind, or
Yes.
because you want to improve your social life, or or financial life, whatever. So that gives you a reason, and hence it might work better.
Okay. Got it.
Anurag,
Thanks.
what do you think?
Well, I think it's important, as you said, it's about finding your why, which helps with keeping the habits. So, yeah, I guess that's what we're looking at.
Okay. So as Sagar mentioned a while back, there are some habits which influence a lot of other things, which are called keystone habits. Keystone habits are small changes or habits that people introduce, but they unintentionally carry over into multiple aspects of your life. So, just to give you an example, if you exercise regularly, it impacts a lot of things. It definitely impacts your physical state, physical body, but it also impacts your mind. It also impacts your, let's say, emotional life. Uh, what
social
else?
life. So
Social
if you're
life.
exercising, it is impacting your diet habits because you realize that if you are working hard on your body, then you should not put garbage in your body. So it might impact that habit as well, and then it might impact your social life as well because now you are more comfortable talking about, let's say, health and this with people. It's just impacts it in a positive way. Exercise in mental body, it helps your sleep because you might start sleeping more just because you're working out more, so it's making you sleep faster. So the other habits which are getting helped because of that. So exercise is one, sleep is another one, journaling is another one which helps multiple aspects of your life, improves them. Meditation is another one. And planning your day is one because that helps you create more habits because you understand how much time you have during the day. So that impacts your life in multiple areas. Helping others is a keystone habit because this has, like, again, social life, mental life, emotional life, all of that, emotional body, all of that is impacted by that. And then a positive outlook towards life is again a critical habit to build. And it's again, all of these are habits. Like positive outlook, if you do, it's not a rigid thing. If you want to have more positive outlook, it can be made a habit.
So a very simple way of building positive outlook is, uh, a lot of people in positive psychology say, write three things that you're grateful for every day, and that's a big step towards having positive outlook over the long run.
So that can be part of your journaling exercise as well. So that becomes a double thing, that you are journaling about gratitude, which is called gratitude journaling. That is impacting multiple areas, right? And that becomes a journaling habit as well. So you just write, and journaling habit, typically people start off with one thing you were grateful for from yesterday, and that is effect helps a lot of areas of your life. So that is like keystone habits. So those are the critical ones which you can start picking on, and think about, let's say if you want to plan the next habit, think about an activity which have, let's say, primary focus. Let's say if you want to work on an emotional state or emotional body, you feel you're out of emotions, pick up a habit which will not just impact that but help other areas as well. So for emotions, I guess meditation is one of it, or journaling is another aspect of it, which is
Sleep.
sleep is another one. Exactly. So just pick a habit which will help. A keystone habit helps you like work on multiple areas at one time, and you don't have to pick multiple habits. So that is one thing which will help you prioritize that.
Okay. So there are some interesting ideas which generally help in habit building. Uh, First is if then rule. Okay. A lot of times we say I will exercise, but we don't know when. We say I want to read, but we don't know when. So if we have some rules that if this happens then I'll do this, the mind can easily follow through. Otherwise, it remains as a vague thing.
Like you have backup plans for all your, like if you have this problem, if this will happen, I will do this. If let's say if you're looking at an exercise habit, and the example which Class is written here is great in that sense. If I don't have time to exercise, I will do 100 jumping jacks or something, right? Which will take you 3 minutes. But if you
Yeah.
have a backup
30
exercise.
seconds. 30 seconds.
No, 100
30. 1 minute.
one, one per second.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. So something like that. Yeah.
There can be other rules. For example, if I
It can,
Yeah, so
any
like for
exercise
me
you
it
pick up
was
just
if
have
I
multiple rules.
if
Yeah.
I am in washroom, I won't use phone. That is my rule that I follow. Then if I so I also follow if I am offered like biscuits or chocolates which are like packaged, I won't eat it, but I would eat something that is made.
So if you're looking at a habit for drinking more water, and you realize in a couple of weeks, let's say in a couple of weeks of you trying to make that habit, you realize that every time you go out with friends or whatever, you realize that your water intake goes down because you're not at home. So if I am going out, I'll take a water bottle along with me, which I do all the time. And it's a good thing right now due to COVID that you can just say that I carry my own bottle because I don't want to use something outside, and everyone accepts it. It
So
would have
drinking
been
water ke liye another friend tries to do this. So he's so another friend who is preparing for UPSC. He whenever he starts whenever he sits down to study, he will first drink a glass of water and then only sit. So that's a very good example of if then rule. And so after some time, what happens is it feels very uncomfortable that you are sitting down but you have not drank water. So
just remember, these will be automatic after a month, after
Yeah.
maximum a month. Like first 1 or 2 weeks it will be awkward, and then it will become automatic. Every time you sit down, you'll just look for the water bottle. Where is the water bottle?
yeah, that happens.
But before you sit down, you will go and fill your water bottles before you sit down. It becomes very natural. That becomes part of you.
Yeah. So the another next rule which is talked about is called 10 minutes rule. So a lot of people make this mistake of quitting things altogether or doing a lot at the first instance only. So the book, the Willpower Instinct book, talks about this example of people trying to quit smoking, and they would just one day say that I want to quit smoking altogether. Okay, but they would do it for a couple of days, 5 days, but at one point the trigger would come up and they would start smoking and they would continue then smoking from then onward. So what the author says is, instead of quitting smoking altogether, just whenever you have a desire to smoke, just delay it by 10 minutes and then fulfill it. Don't trick the mind, but you say I will do it, but I will do it after 10 minutes. So it doesn't remain overwhelming. Quitting something that you're doing for so long becomes very overwhelming. Will I be able to do it? Let's just forget about it, and you would smoke. But this one, if you just say I will do it after 10 minutes, the mind remains calm and it says okay, after 10 minutes I'm going to do it, so it's okay. There'll be the willpower environmental is lesser. So anything else, let's say you want to reduce phone usage, anytime you have a desire to use phone or social media, just hold yourself for 10 minutes. You can put up a timer, you can put anything, but hold yourself for 10 minutes and then use it. So in this way, what happens is maybe that desire goes away and you don't feel the need of doing it, or over the time that 10 minutes can become 20, 30, 40, 1 hour, and it can increase. But
So you're not giving that thought which is trying to pull you towards doing that negative action that much power. You're trying to slowly disassociate with that thought and trying to realize that okay, that thought exists. I can wait on it for 10 minutes. 10 minutes is not that much time. You can start off with 5 minutes, and then you will
Yeah.
realize that that thought has less power over you, and eventually that is where we want to go in the long run. Right now it's 5 minutes, after a month it's 10 minutes or late, and after a year it's easier to quit. And for a lot of people that becomes the problem, that they go back too fast, and those thoughts are still trying to control them, and that is where the problem happens.
Instead of saying never, just say later. The mind remains calm.
Any other negative habit, drinking cold drinks or caffeine, drinking
Or
coffee is also
even
very
this
habit.
even works for positive habits. Let's say you want to work on a side project, but you have been or let's say a course or anything, and you're procrastinating it for a long time. Just tell your mind that I'll do it for 10 minutes and then I'll quit. I mean, I'll do it only for 10 minutes, not more than that. It can be 5 minutes for someone, it can be 10 minutes for others, but just do it for 10 minutes and then say, now I'm okay, now I'm good. So the part where your mind becomes overwhelmed that I have to do 30 minutes, I have to do an hour, that becomes a problem, and that can be avoided using the 10 minutes rule. It can be used for positive as well as negative habits.
Right. So reading a book or reading a blog or something. Again, 10 minutes. I'll read just for 10 minutes and then I'll move on to the next.
Third point is this is just things which I have come across books and have helped us. So moral licensing. So what happens with some people is that they're trying to build one habit, and because it takes away some of the willpower, they say the anti-habit they can now do. For example, when I exercise, for some people they say, now I have exercised, now I can eat anything. That gives you the license to do bad things when you do something good, which is a trap. And hence it's very important to remember why you're exercising. You're exercising not just because you want to exercise, you're exercising for some purpose. You want to improve your physical body, and if you eat junk, that would harm the same goal.
Plus,
So-
also when we talked about all the spheres of life, just see that if you are working on one sphere, the outcome or the things which change because of that does not impact and a lot on the other spheres of life, and do not that imbalance should. So let's say here it's about exercising and eating. It can be something like you are reading, and that is why you are sleeping way later at night, and that is affecting your sleep. So that is again causing a disruption to one other sphere where you are working on one sphere. You have to actually remember that the objective is to be in balance across, else something else will suffer in the long run, right? So that is where you have to see that what moral licensing is. You're giving yourself a moral license to do what are the negative things which are happening, and maybe you notice them and you say that, okay, my next habit will try to work on that. That is a good thing. You actually understand what is getting affected and you're solving problems real time, but just notice what's getting impacted.
And the last one is building something that you don't want to do is harder than building something that you want to do. Why is that? Because when you tell your mind that I don't want to do this, I want to quit something, it the mind tries to keep that in background and try to remember that, and it keeps popping up in your mind every time you tell the mind to not do it. Instead, how can we convert the habit into something that you want to do or that is positive? So example, instead of saying I will not use my phone in my free time or after 11 p.m, say I will read after 11 p.m, or replace it with something that you want to do, which is an easier one.
I'll just give a small
A
example.
lot of authors' experiences, and even my experience also.
So
in
just
these
a small
habits.
example. Let's say I quit eating chicken and non-vegetarian, a lot of non-vegetarian food. So I did not go in that mode of I won't eat chicken from now on. What I said was I just replaced it with I will only eat seafood typically. So I just brought down that usage. I will only eat seafood rather than saying I won't eat chicken, because every time a chicken would come up in front of your face, and you have that thought in your mind, I won't eat chicken, that is always pulling at your willpower. rather than, so just convert I won't do this to I will do this. Let's say exactly I won't use my phone during my free time to I will do this. What are you replacing that thing with? Just keep that as the motivation factor rather than I won't, because that thought in itself creates the desire. You have
Yeah.
to start looking at it that way.
Not something you are restricting your mind that creates desire, that creates a push back from the mind.
It's a friction. You have to reduce the friction, which we have been talking about all this time. Reduce friction in your habits, and this will create a good, like big amount of friction when you talk about I won't do this. So,
Any so Anurag Shani, anything that you think, um, any thoughts on this that happened in your life or related to all of this?
I think the if then rule and the 10 minutes rule is very interesting, and it looks like it's very easy to it will be easy to implement this as well, and we are not entirely forcing ourselves to do something but delaying it, and we are also compromising. So I think these two are very nice ideas.
So where do you think can it be applied? In your, let's say in your
Like while I exercise, so like I mostly for all the days I have skipped, I only gave this excuse to myself that I don't have enough time or I have a lot of work to do. So I think this will help me combat that instead of doing the regular 30 minutes exercise, I will just jump 100 times or do planks for 15 seconds, something like that. So such an alternative will surely help and keep the speed going.
right.
okay.
What that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Anurag, anything else? Do you think?
So I thought it would be useful for me because I'm going to, I want to get rid of the YouTube loop that you get into once you start it. So I thought that perhaps if I feel the urge, I can have a 15-minute rule. Let it be for 15 minutes, and if it's still there, I can go ahead. And then I can have a rule like if I watch for more than 30 minutes, I'll do 10 push-ups. And for every consecutive 30 minutes, 10 more push-ups. So, so basically that.
Makes
And
sense.
also about I want to, I will. Somebody once told me, some psychologist, that our mind cannot understand no.
Yeah.
So instead of saying I won't do it, or say I will do, I won't do X, I will do Y. The latter is better. So yeah, that makes sense.
Great.
And secondly, that I won't has to convert to I don't. That is like the changing the belief that I don't eat chicken or I don't do this. When you have that internal belief, that is what a habit would make you do. That I exercise daily is one where we want to go eventually. That is why we are starting small, trying to understand ourselves, so that if you, let's say, as Shivani said, that she will do plank every day, that still makes her exercise daily, right? It does not have to be a 1 hour exercise or half an hour exercise. So what we are trying to do is, I am a person who exercises regularly. That is what we are trying to become. So we have to change our beliefs about ourselves, and that is what we are working for.
And even if I like Sagar said, even if I exercise 5 minutes, I have a huge confidence that I exercise every day. Like it just helps in general when you have a good self-image of yours, and self-image cannot be like artificially made. When you do something, self-image improves. If you don't do,
The quote of James Clear we had introduced called every action you do is a vote for the type of person you want to become. So that is what it is. Like every action you do is you're just voting for the person you are trying to become. Another good quote here by Gary Keller from the book The One Thing. Getting extraordinary results is all about creating a dynamo effect in your life. The key is over time, right? Success is built sequentially. It's one thing at a time. So that is what we have been promoting. We just work on one habit at a time. It's a sequence of things. First you do this, then you build another thing. It's a dynamo effect. One thing will affect the other thing. But first you have to like slot the first dynamo, a small dynamo. A small dynamo can help you drop a bigger one and then a bigger one. But you start small, and that helps you build success over the long term.
okay, habit stacking, the important part. So now let's say in the first part we covered what to choose next. here in between we said what are the different simple rules that will help us in forming habit. This is a very the third one is habit stacking. This is a very easy way to build habits on top of one another, and this graph or whatever figure by James Clear in Atomic Habits describes it very clearly. So we said habit is cue, craving, response, and reward. So any habit that you're doing, exercise, there'd be a cue, I would do it at 9 a.m. There'd be a craving that you want to do it, and you exercise, and then there's some reward. So reward can be anything that you're making progress, or you don't have to pay something to anyone, or you feel good. It can be anything. But after you get the reward, again the cue for the next one starts. That once I have completed this activity, that is a cue for my next habit, and then craving, response, reward. Then for habit 3, etc. So, like Anurag, I think has already started having habit stacks. Sagar also has. I also have a habit stack of morning, wake up, freshen myself, meditation, slow breathing for 5 minutes, exercising, and then practicing music, and then breakfast, etc. So when it is one after another, it doesn't take up a lot of willpower to do things. But if you schedule them very apart from each other, it takes a lot of willpower to start. And here you're doing 4 habits, but the starting point is only this one, and everything else is continuous. So energy, you would require energy here, but you would not require so much of willpower here.
So just understand that we are not trying to create so any habit you're picking right now is not the first habit you are making. Like, you already have a lot of habits in your life. Brushing your teeth is a habit, taking a bath is a habit, having lunch is a habit. So you just use those as anchors. So let's say after you have lunch, let's say after you exercise, and you want to create a new habit of eating dry fruits, let's say soaked dry fruits, to have them near the place where you keep your exercise gear. So after you're done exercising, you keep the gear back. Your cue is already there. The cue is the dry fruit which are already soaked in, let's say. So you can just, your cue is there, and then you use that habit. Or let's say after you have lunch, that is like after you're done, that is a reward of you being full. Have a cue right there. The cue, either it's visible or that reward becomes the cue. You have to look at it, how you go about it. But after existing habit, you have a cue right there which helps you do the next thing.
So
Right?
I might have told this earlier, but this professor, he has created a very, very popular behavior model called Fogg behavior model. So I was listening to his TED talk once, and he said what he does is, for habit stacking, what he does is, after he flushes his toilet, he would come out and do 2 push-ups. And so this is how he started. So he would go to toilet at least 7-8 times in a day, and he would start he had started doing 14 push-ups every day as a starting point. And after that he increased that 2 to 3 to 4, and now it's when he presented the TED talk, it was 7 to 8 push-ups after flushing the toilet. So that becomes 50 push-ups every day, and his age is roughly 57. Yeah. So he does 50 push-ups every day, and it's very simple for him. Flush the toilet, come out, do 2 push-ups, or 2. Now it's 5-6 push-ups. So that's how habit stacking works.
Another good one would be, let's say, if you want to increase your water intake, which is something I've realized that is a habit I did not realize I would in that terms. But after I go and pee, after I come back, I'll drink 200 to 250 ml of water at least, and that triggers the next pee faster, and then you drink more water. So effectively that cycle helps you drink more water in the day.
So there's a popular video. Let's watch it for a few minutes. Will you be able to hear my sound from my PC?
Yes. Just present and we'll see, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Let's share the link, and then everyone can.
Are you
watch
able
it.
to hear the sound?
Not yet. Blah.
Forming and creating new habits can be quite challenging.
Now, were you able to hear?
No. Let's share the link in the comments, and then we can.
Wait, actually, I will share the link once. used to work in Google Meet.
So I guess
I think you have
presentation
to share a
noise sound.
tab.
क्या क्या अनुराग?
You have to share a tab.
Okay.
Okay. अच्छा अच्छा right.
So,
One
so
second, I'll
present.
present again. Now are you able to hear?
But it's even harder to build a consistent routine. You probably have a lot of behavioral patterns that you're not aware of.
It's there is
Yeah.
this a lot of loading. Plus, can you mute your video wala aspect of it? I guess there's echo because
Okay.
of that. Mute yourself. Don't mute this. The presentation is okay. I guess if you mute yourself.
Let me share the link. Just spend 3-4 minutes watching this and we can come back.
Forming and creating new habits can be quite challenging, but it's even harder to build a consistent routine. You probably have a lot of behavioral patterns that you're not aware of. For example, you might make yourself a morning cup of coffee after you wake up. You also probably and hopefully wash your hands whenever you use the bathroom. This type of behavior is automatic and you do it without thinking. And there are probably thousands of other daily habits that you currently have, even if you're not aware of them. But you can take advantage of these already formed behaviors to create new habits. The method I'll be talking about is called habit stacking. I've used this technique to turn reading and piano playing into a habit, which are now both part of my daily routine. And after this video, you should be able to do the same for your desired behaviors. So how can you use habit stacking? Firstly, you need to identify a current habit that you do every single day. It could be anything as long as you perform it consistently. Secondly, you add or stack a new habit on top of it. For example, here are 3 habits you might already be doing: taking a shower, making a cup of coffee, turning off your computer. And here's a list of 3 new habits you might like to implement: meditation, exercise, playing an instrument. Now, what you do is link your new habit with an already existing one. And you use the stacking formula, which looks like this. After current habit, I will new habit. Using our previous examples, it should look something along these lines. After I take a shower, I will meditate for 2 minutes. After I make a cup of coffee,